As a kid, my mom always used to tell me, nella vita non devi mai essere al verde, avere la puzza sotto al naso e far venire il latte alle ginocchia agli altri. Which in English can be translated as, in life you should never be broke, act snobbish and bother other people. Now, even if you're studying Italian, chances are that you had absolutely no idea of what I was referring to with the Italian idiomatic expressions that I used. But those expressions are everyday slang that people that live in Italy can use and hear every day when they are at the bar, when they do grocery shopping, when they speak with friends. Knowing these expressions is fundamental if you want to improve your Italian. And that's exactly why we're here today, to see together the 10 most common Italian expressions that you need to know if you want, first of all, to be able to understand locals, and second, to sound more natural when replying to them. Ciao a tutti and welcome back to the Italianforawhile channel, your go-to destination for all things Italy. If you haven't done it yet, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and tricks on how to make the most out of your learning experience in Italy. And now let's go back to today's topic, Italian slang expressions. So, there's one simple rule that applies universally whenever studying a new language. The vocabulary you learn in books is what helps you to master the basics. But then, once you actually step out of the class and start talking to real people, what you learn in textbooks won't be enough. If you want to sound authentic and, first of all, understand what people around you are saying, you need to understand the slang of a place. The Italian language makes no exception, and that's also why we always tell our students that the best way to learn Italian is to come in Italy and be immersed in the language and the culture. So let's start, because we're here today to help you level up your Italian. Of course, you have to start little by little, and these 10 most common Italian slang expressions that you won't learn in books are already a good place to start. Number 8 is actually my favorite, so make sure to stick with us till the end. Let's start, shall we? So, let's start strong with expression number 1. Tizio, Caio e Sempronio. This expression comes from Latin legal texts, where these names were used as placeholders for generic individuals, similar to John Doe in English law. You use it in Italian when you want to talk about generic people without wanting to mention anyone in particular, and is used especially when someone is oversharing information with someone they shouldn't trust. To say in Italian, you can't tell your secrets to anyone, you can apply this Italian expression and say non puoi dire I tuoi segreti a Tizio, Caio e Sempronio. Moving on with expression number 2. Colpo di fulmine, literally a lightning strike. The imagery is beautiful. It suggests like a sudden, very powerful emotional impact. While it mainly means love at first sight in romance, it can also be applied to other circumstances. For example, fall in love with a place, fall in love with a new job. So to say, when I saw her, it was love at first sight. In Italian you can say, quando la vidi fu un colpo di fulmine. Expression number 3, campare d'aria. Literally, to live on air. This expression is used when someone seems to survive with almost nothing. So, very little money, for example, or very little food. It's often used rhetorically to express disbelief or pity towards someone's difficult circumstances. So, for example, to say, how do you live with that salary? How do you manage? You could say, in Italian, con quello stipendio, come fai a vivere? Campi d'aria? Expression number 4. Far venire il latte alle ginocchia. A very powerful visual expression that literally means to make milk come to your knees. This is used to describe someone or something that is very tedious, like unbearable, very boring. The origin of this expression is not clear, but some speculate that it comes from the exhausting activity of milking cows, where the effort is so long that your knees would hurt. It's typically used for long, dull speeches or for people that complain too much. So, for example, if you say in English, the speech was too long, it was unbearable, in Italian you can use this expression and say il discorso era troppo lungo, mi ha fatto venire il latte alle ginocchia. Expression number 5. Non sta né in cielo né in terra. Literally, it's neither in heaven nor on earth. This expression is used when something is so nonsensical, illogical, that just doesn't make sense on this world, nor on heaven. basically. Italians often use it when they hear a crazy excuse, something that they don't believe in, or when they hear about a situation that to them is completely unreal. So for example, to say you're lying, your explanation makes absolutely no sense, in Italian you could say stai mentendo, la tua spiegazione non sta né in cielo né in terra. So guys, we're about to go to expression number 6, so we are halfway through these 10 most common Italian expressions. But before moving forward, I'm curious to know, have you ever heard any of these expressions, or have you ever been able to actually use it? Let me know, I'm very curious and I will read all your comments. And now moving forward with expression number 6, essere in gamba. This is one of those Italian expressions that when literally translated to English makes absolutely no sense, because it be translated as to be in leg. What it's actually used for is to describe someone that is very talented, very capable, and very reliable. So the leg is used to refer at something strong, something stable. And when it's used to describe someone, it means that that person is solid or on firm footing. So for example, you would say in English, your sister is very sharp. She can solve all the problems. In Italian, you can use this expression and say, tua sorella è veramente in gamba, risolve qualsiasi problema. Expression number 7, fare finta di niente. This is a very common expression in daily speeches. It literally means to pretend like nothing happened. This expression is used when someone doesn't pay attention to something, an insult, a problem, a mistake, or an awkward situation, for example. For example, what you would say in English, he saw everything but pretended nothing happened. You can say in Italian, lui ha visto tutto ma ha fatto finta di niente. And finally, number 8, one of my favorite expressions. Avere la puzza sotto il naso. This to me, it's always very funny when I try to translate it to my foreign friends, because literally in Italian it means to have stink under your nose. So this is a very vivid and slightly offensive way of saying that someone is acting a bit snobbish or arrogant. So the idea is that the person believes that the others stink, and so they hold their nose up to avoid the smell, which is a metaphor for their perceived superiority. So what in English you would say like, she doesn't speak to anyone, she's acting snobbish. In Italian you could say, non parla mai con nessuno, ha la puzza sotto il naso. Expression number 9, rompere le scatole. Literally, it can be translated as to break the boxes. This is the polite version, of course. Then there are other ways like rompere le palle or others, even worse, that we won't say today together. This is a very common and casual way to say that someone is annoying. Depending on who you're saying to and the tone that you're using, it can be perceived as like a teasing expression or like genuine irritation. So what in English you would say like, stop bothering me, I'm working. In Italian you could say, smettila di rompermi le scatole, sto lavorando. And last but not least, expression number 10. Essere al verde. Essere al verde is one of the most common expressions in Italy to refer to someone that is with no money or broke. It literally can be translated as to be at the green. One popular theory about its origins comes from Middle Ages in Florence, where the base of a candle was often painted green. And so, when the candle was off because all the wax was gone, you could see the green. So in English you can say, for example, I would love to come to the restaurant, but I'm broke, or but I don't have money. In Italian, you would use this expression and say, vorrei venire al ristorante, ma sono al verde. And with that, we've covered all the 10 expressions that I wanted to show you today, guys. Now, before leaving, I want to address one very common question that we receive from our students whenever we talk about these slang expressions, which is, are these expressions the same across all of Italy? The answer, of course, is yes and no. These 10 expressions that we collect, I would say that are pretty much a safe bet. They're very common and you will hear them from north to south. So if you memorize them, you can be pretty much sure to be able to use them wherever you go. Of course, you have to remember that Italy is full of regionalism and dialects. So in certain particular cities or regions, they might have their own way of saying one of these particular expressions that we mentioned. It's always nice to double check, depending on where you go. And with that, I would say that it's really all for today, guys. I really hope that you found this video useful, and I'm sure that with just a little bit of practice, you'll be able to ace these expressions and be able to show them off to locals. As always, if you have any question or doubt, make sure to let us know. We'll check all the comments and answer. And before leaving us, remember to like, comment, or just share with a friend this video. Till the next time, ciao!